everybody. I'm here with Brittany and Olga, and I'm Julia, and we are very excited to be talking to each other. You know, we've been collaborating a lot recently in this initiative, the Latina Creative Incubator. And we've been talking almost every day. So this is like the same type of conversation that we're having, except that this time I kind of like organized my hair. One thing I wanted to start with, if you guys are okay, but we've been talking about the fact that we are all Latinas and we're doing this initiative, but the fact that we are very different and we grew up in very different settings. And I think that that was very interesting when we touched that conversation. So I wanted to talk a little bit about each other. And sorry, I heard my voice there and I was like, and see if, just say a little bit about how we grew up and, just say why we are Latinas, but we are each other different. So I'll start with Olga, if you can say a little bit about yourself and how.
Hi, who we call her who. Julia. Gracias, Julia. I think that, I love that we're starting with this subject because, like we mentioned in our conversations, the Latinx community is so complex and it's so many of us, so many countries, so many cultures, so many different traditions. But at the end of the day, we are very similar. We are very, very similar. So I think it's important to talk about, who we are and how we identified each other, because then we will, and everybody, like you as leaders in the Hispanic community, you should talk in your communities as well, and yes, ask that question to your collaborator and be like, hey, where are you from, and how do you celebrate Christmas and stuff like that, because we are different, and it's really important to address that in our community, because that's the only way that we are going to start to care for each other and really learn from each other. Anyway, so thank you so much, Julia, for that, because I think that's very important. And for us as a team, it's been something that we constantly talk about and has helped us to rebuild this initiative that we're trying to every day rebuild just to get it better. I'm sure that, as you know, guys, like every day we're learning different things. But anyway, so about ourselves and about our community. So I am a Mexican immigrant. I am Mexican Panamanian. I was born in Mexico City and I moved to Panama when I was like maybe 2 years old, because my mom wanted to be with her family. And then during the Noriega's war, there was a coup d'etat. It was horrible. It was horrible, as some of you might remember. But we stayed in Panama. We couldn't go to the school. Like, banks were closed, schools were closed, everything. The country was in war. So my dad is Mexican, so my dad was like, we gotta get out of here. So we have to leave Panama and went to Saltillo, Coahuila in Mexico, north of Mexico, with like nothing. We arrived there. And the only reason why we arrived there, it was because my dad's mom was there. And it was tough. But I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still an immigrant. I think I learned like in such a really young age to like all my world to be moved out of all of a sudden. So
and to adapt.
Right? And then to adapt and transform and reinvent in a way myself at a really young age. So it was hard, but I think that, I wanted to share that because, Mexican, Panamanian, even if we speak the same language, it was tough. It was really tough. And I'm sure that there's a lot of immigrants that have come to this country, just like you, Julia, but in difference, Brittany will talk about it because she's born and raised here. So it's tough when you come to a new country, Julia. You know this. It's because you're an immigrant, and then you start from nothing, and you don't have friends and family. So but that builds who we are, at the end of the day, every day. So that's me, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you. I am, I'm cannot wait to share what we're building together with Julia and Brittany and EXILE. It's going to be great for our community, and we'll talk a little bit more a little bit later.
Amazing. And Brittany, you're our native English language speaker in the house. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. So excited for all of us to just be in another conversation. Like who said, we talk every day. Our WhatsApp is just like, but I'm here representing the Afro-Latina, Latinx community. My dad's from Mexico and my mom's family from Guyana. So I also have a very interesting identity. And I love, Olga, how you were talking about having to like rebuild and retransform yourself. I think, especially post-election, I'm hearing more people say like, Latinos, Latinx people, we're not a monolith. And the same thing in the Black community, right? Like we're not a monolith. So for me, being born in this country, living in a home where the Spanish language is spoken, also Black vernacular spoken, and paying homage to the Portuguese Creole language that's also in my family, it was very, very hard for me to navigate because I felt very much like a Latina because I was raised in a bit closer with my dad's side of the family. But in this country, my physical representation is Black, which I also am 100% a Black woman. So it's so much fun constantly being in dialogue. And I always tell them this, like, it's so nice to have this fluidity of language with our group, because so many times I think how we say things and who we are is really based in our language. So I love this opportunity too, to just be in a space of women where we can kind of just go back and forth, right? That's our fun. But I think when we start talking about the incubator a bit more, I think what's super interesting about the Latinx creative industry right now is that we're always trying to reconcile our identity. And we have to do that by validating our heritage and understanding our specific heritage and our culture, while also reimagining what our identities look like in the future. And I think all of us on this call, we really feel like storytellers and content creators are the ones who are kind of leading that charge. And that's why, this coming together with EXILE and creating a space where we can support more non-gender conforming and Latina creatives to start to put forward that initiative of reconciling our identity for the future is just fun. Just fun. It's a great opportunity.
Amazing.
Whose turn?
It's my turn.
Yes.
No, well, I am from Argentina. I grew up there until I was 18, and then I came to the US on a vacation, kind of like a backpacking trip, and I ended up staying. Argentina was in 2000. It was going through a major political and economical crisis. And I was like, well, maybe I should not go back right now. So I ended up staying and working multiple jobs at the same time. And I paid for school, and it's been 20 years. So it's actually, I've been here for longer than in Argentina, and I still have a very strong accent. So I'm proud of it anyway. But no, it's been fun. And honestly, what has been really fun about this particular project is that we're creating this within friends. It was honestly like, I think there's statistics, and I was reading this study by the UCLA Hollywood Diversity Report that it was talking about how representation in front of the camera has been getting better, but not behind the camera. And that is, problematic for multiple reasons, but, stereotypes and, how can we tell our stories correctly if we're not actually the ones that are telling the stories. So I think that was one of the major reasons why we wanted to start this incubator, and to have more representation, to give opportunities, and the truth is that when we had this idea at EXILE, it was like, who can we do this with? And I am so excited to do it with you both, because we're your friends, you're the best activists I know, and you actually are really have been working a lot on trying to elevate the community. So I want to know for you, what are the reasons why you wanted to do this? And if you can explain a little bit also on what it is too. Maybe Olga first.
Yeah. Ooh, this is pretty fancy. Wow. Hi. So sorry guys, we're just not excited. That's who we are. So I think that I was really excited and cool. I've told you so many times, I was so moved when you reached out to me and you were like, oh, this is what we're trying to do. And we're thinking about you and Brittany to be part of the team. I was like, oh, great. I love this. Funny enough, Brittany came to my wedding as well. Like, it's like, we were like, not like, now we're becoming like sisters, but just the fact that you were there, it really means a lot to me. I was like, okay, universe, God, I'm a believer. So I was like, okay, this is it. Anyway, so I really, listen, I think that one of the reasons that really motivated me is that, as you said it, Julia, we've been, Brittany and I, in different ways, we've been like activating our community in so many different levels in through the years. This is not just like one of, but for us to come together and give opportunities, like, to young writers that have and need the support. And during the pandemic, now this year, more than ever, because, as a writer, for those that are watching, as a writer, it's very difficult to earn your living. So, and I think it's not just as a writer, sorry, as any like position in this industry, in the film industry, in the TV industry, is really, really, really difficult to get that space, like to get like that opportunity, So I think that in our community, more than other communities, and we see it, I don't have to like tell you, we see it on the TV. How many shows are really, how many shows you really identify with, that you're like, or characters that you're like, oh yes, I am like that character, or I can be like that character, or there's no variety of characters. There's no like actually the real representation that we want to see, that we want our children to see in this country. So, but you don't know if it's possible until we try, right? So that's what we're doing. We're trying to create a pipeline, to facilitate tools and mentorship and advisors to really lead and support these young filmmakers, these young writers that are and have like incredible stories about our community that need to be told in order to be inspired. You cannot be what you can see, right? So you see it and you're like, get inspired, and you're like, oh yes, I want to do that. So that's what we're trying to do. Like I said, you don't know if it's possible until we try, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're putting every single effort that we can, every single tool that we have learned separately, but also we are like, guys, now we explain, we're very different. So we're trying to, put everything that we can in order to make this possible and to make it successful. So I don't know if I missed anything, but
well,
Brittany, you can.
Brittany can actually explain like the rest if you missed anything, but also Brittany, like if you can get a little bit more onto what are the goals of the program too.
Definitely. I mean, this is the inaugural class for EXILE. So I commend EXILE for saying, let's do it. You know, they understand the statistics in front of and behind the camera, and I'm not saying that understanding the statistics of our community isn't important, but understanding it and then doing something about it is that extra step. So I think all of us can say we encourage everyone to do work like this. There can never be enough mentorship. There can never be enough incubators. You know, this is very much the time where our community should be coming together cross-sector. What this summit is really focusing on, letting the Latino community really come together and work and build each other up. So just like the beautiful weave of this group here, this trifecta you see on your screen, we're trying to build an unbelievably nuanced program. So the goals of this program are to take emerging young writers, specifically writers in this first class, and to pump them full of resources and industry level professional guidance and educational courses, mentorship with unbelievably expertise showrunners and producers, writers, having an opportunity, and I think we can all agree, just having a moment to talk to someone who's done it before that understands us. It really just takes one conversation. But the gatekeeping that happens for individuals who haven't made a name for themselves is something that we want to bypass. And Olga, you said it so well, it's a pipeline. So we want to create the pipeline, give these young emerging writers a chance to fully package their idea with support, a safety net really to make mistakes, to ask every single question, and to know that they're going to be taken care of on a professional, but also on a personal level. Because entering this industry as a Latina, or entering this industry with that heritage in general, you're going to find some differences and you're going to experience some discrepancies. So we also take that very seriously. And we want to prepare these future writers and showrunners to kind of help in the shift of what this industry is going to look like. And starting in 2021, we're going to be actively doing that. Those are high level goals. Of course, we have many other, we hope that this is a series. So I want to just say the truth is as well, Latinos are helping the creative industry, but we just don't hear about it, right? We don't hear about the set designers, you don't hear about the showrunners, you don't hear about the producers or the PAs. There's also a hierarchy that exists and what we see and what we value. And we definitely, in this group, want to make sure that we're touching upon all of those sectors. We're here, we've been doing this work. Just because it's not seen doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but we want to make sure that it's seen in front of the camera so more of our community members feel that energy and excitement to really take the first step and just say, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a creative. So I'm so grateful. Yeah, same thing. When Julia told me, I was like, when do I sign up? What do I have to do?
Yeah, it was great to have this support and the in from the beginning. So one thing that Olga, you talked about a little bit was, how difficult it is to make it. And I just want you, and we're about to end too, but maybe if you can say a little bit about what are the barriers that you experienced and if you have any advice on how to make it.
I mean, to be honest, there's so many. And we know this, and Brittany and everybody that is how difficult it is for a Latina. And in my case, an immigrant that has an accent. And sometimes, people might think that because I'm speaking English, right? But believe it or not, there's so many things that I learn every day that I'm still learning. It sounds like I am bilingual, but there's so much that I need to learn. And when it comes to doing business here and trying to be a producer and really trying to path the way, it's difficult, it's tough. And especially when you don't have your family and your friends and that support, and you need to rebuild from zero, from scratch. And I have to say, because I am privileged, so I speak, from a privileged seat. where I came to this country with a visa, with all those things. And yes, I am privileged, but still has been like really tough and difficult. And I understand that my hermanos and hermanas and mis paisanos mexicanos, like I understand what they're going through, and it's difficult. But I think that I always say, listen, and I always talk about these 4 Ps, and this is the first time that I'm going to talk with you guys about my 4 Ps, but I have 4 Ps that I follow constant. Yeah, P's like P, like the letter P, like papa.
Okay. The 4 Ps.
Like 4 Ps, like potatoes. See, I'm still working on my accent. So I'm sure that you were like B's, P's, like it's okay.
No, I was picturing like the peas that you eat.
Yeah, peas that you eat. So I think that you gotta be persistent. I mean, you gotta be perseverance. You have to have that perseverance, but also you gotta be persistent. You cannot take a no for an answer. You gotta just go and back and back and back. I think in this industry, the more no's that you get, the more excited that you have to be. Because it's a no that needs to motivate you. I really need to get like, okay, I gotta get 1 million no's for a yes. Yes, you do. And so don't be sad if you get a no. Actually, let that be your encouragement to really try harder. And I think one of the things that you need to know in order just to be persistent over and over and over and again, and no tirar la toalla, como decimos en español, is that you really need to identify your passion, right? Like, what is that passion that motivates you and gets you out of the bed? And then you're like, and I think if you really identify what's your passion, then you're going to be persevering. You're going to be persistent for sure. And the 4th one is to be patient, because things don't happen from one day to another. And like never in any industry, like hard work always pays off, but patience, it's something that you really need to live in every single industry, every single thing that you do, because that's what like really gets you. I mean, those are the 4 keys that I've been using for a long time. And then once you get that objective, that goal, that thing that really gets you out of bed and you're like, yes, I did it, woo! You gotta be professional. You gotta be really work with dignity and respect and admire your collaborators, support them, get on time, do what you're trying to, like, whatever you say, you do, whatever you need to show up, you show up, and then keep it. So those are my 5 Ps. I'm sorry, I took a lot of time, but those are the things that I feel that motivate me, and it's a good advice.
I think it's incredibly helpful and great advice, and I'm happy to end it like that. So we have a short session, which it's nice, short and sweet. But thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure again, and I'll be talking to you a little bit later.